Welcome back, Pokemon fans. Angel of the Night here. It is September 19th, and we're about ready to enter into the Grand Challenge for 2025. Now, I thought to myself, what better team to bring to a Regulation H battle than my Inkay Games semifinal team that got me into the finals for the Western Division. And that is the team with the Paldean Firebred Tauros, Zebstrika, Annihilate actually, Mousehold, Amoonguss, and of course Misdreavus. Now I do have to note, if you guys haven't seen this team before, the team itself is based on the colors of black, white, and gray. That was the team colors that we had to choose from. And in the previous team combination, Tauros was actually a Tera Dark with Lash Out. We actually ended up changing that over to Tera Fairy with Close Combat, Rock Slide, Raging Bull, and Bulk Up. As you guys can see, it does have the Lum Berry with Intimidate. The Zebstrika, of course, is Tera Grass with Lightning Rod and Life Orb, High Horsepower, Flame Charge, Tera Blast, and Supercell Slam. Annihilate is pretty standard. The Tera Fairy with Bulk Up, Taunt, Drain Punch, and Rage Fist, Defiant, and Leftovers. I apologize, guys. I've recorded probably about 10 different commentaries here in a row. Mousehold, Tera Ghost with Tidy Up, Population Bomb, Bite, and Encore. Amoonguss with Sludge Bomb, Clear Smog for those Tatsugiri Dondozo teams. And then, of course, you know, the Misdreavus, which is a fully defensive Eviolite set. Our opponent here leads off with Sableye and Orthworm. Now, of course, both of those Pokemon actually end up walling our Mousehold and our Zebstrika. So pretty much at this point, I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm going to try to boost up some stats here with the Mousehold. So I'm going to go for the Tidy Up. That's going to boost up my attack and my speed. And of course, I'm kind of debating on what I'm going to do with Zebstrika here. I can either go for the Tera Grass and try to take out Sableye, or I can go for a Flame Charge and try to boost up my speed and maybe get some damage off onto the Orthworm. Now, normally when you see like a Steel-type Pokemon like Orthworm, you're thinking to yourself, well, you know what, I'm going to go for that Stomping Tantrum or that High Horsepower. You're gravely mistaken. You do not want to do that with an Orthworm because you're only going to be able to give it health back. It ends up eating all ground type of moves, just like a worm eats ground and dirt and all that nasty stuff. Basically, it's just going to heal them back up. So we end up going for the Flame Charge. That's going to boost up our speed. And of course, we actually end up going for the Tidy Up. That's going to boost up our attack and our speed. There's the Shed Tail coming from the Earthworm. I'm going to be honest with you. I did not expect Shed Tail from Earthworm. I didn't even know it got it. So anyways, it activates its Citrus Berry. It goes back to the party and sets up a nice, lovely substitute onto the field for another opposing Pokemon to come in. So in comes Ceruledge. Now, honestly, this is the worst case scenario here to be up against when I'm Tera Grass, and as well with Mousehold. Terrible choice for me to bring Mousehold into this situation. I think there's too many Ghost-type Pokemon here. Mousehold does live that foul play from the Sableye, which thankfully I survived that. Pretty much all I can do is go for the Bite. I'm going to get Encored by the Sableye. Obviously, Sableye is a prankster. I don't fight too many Sableye, so I really didn't know what to expect from this Pokemon. But anyways, I ended up having to go into Flash Firing that Ceruledge with my Flame Charge. And of course, we do get the Bite off. That's actually going to fade the substitute, which I'm really glad that we actually got that taken out. In comes a Swords Dance from Ceruledge. Now, obviously, if you guys have ever battled a Ceruledge, they do tend to do that with the Swords Dancing and whatnot. That is going to boost up their attack by, I believe, about 1.2 or 1.5. I can't remember the exact calculation, but all I know is that I have to try to take its attack stat down. So I'm actually going to swap out Zebstrika because, quite frankly, I don't want to keep doing Flame Charges, I don't want to boost its Flash Fire, and I don't want to get knocked out by a Fire move. So best choice is I have to bring in Tauros. I'm going to get the Intimidate. That's going to drop the attack stat of my two opposing Pokemon. And then, of course, there's the Disable into the Bite with Mousehold. So right now, Bite cannot be used by Mousehold. I can't do anything to it. There's the Bitter Blade coming in from the Ceruledge. That's actually going to do some decent damage. And then, of course, if Ceruledge was hurting in any way, shape, or form, that would actually regain some health. Unfortunately for me, Mousehold can't do anything. The only attack that I had to be able to take on a Ghost-type Pokemon was Bite, so I do have to swap out here. I'm going to swap out to the Zebstrika, and then of course Tauros is going to have to go in for the Rock Slide. And the reason why we're going to go for the Rock Slide is because we're kind of hoping for a flinch. I'm going to be honest with you, the Hex Gods are usually pretty decent to me, and I'm really playing on the whole Rock Slide and the flinch scenario. So we're actually getting that damage off onto the Ceruledge. I was really hoping that that would actually do more damage. I don't really understand why it didn't, unless there's some defensive values in the Ceruledge, but I don't know. Ceruledge did get flinched, which I'm very grateful for. There's the foul play. Not enough to take out the Tauros, though, of course. So in with the Zebstrika now, we are going to go ahead and select the high horsepower. And of course, we're also going to select our Rock Slide. The Sableye is going to go for the Disable. It's going to disable the Rock Slide, which is unfortunate. And we do manage to pull off a high horsepower into the Ceruledge, which is pretty wicked because I was fearing that Pokemon like there was no tomorrow. Rock Slide, of course, I can't do anything with because I am disabled. So I'm going to end up having to either swap out Tauros or I'm going to have to choose a different move for the next turn. So right now we've seen Earthworm, we've seen Sableye, and we've seen Ceruledge. The next Pokemon that's coming in is another Prankster Pokemon. It is going to be a Whimsicott. Now, this isn't really a good type matchup for my Tauros, just mainly because of the whole Moonblast situation. So pretty much with the Zebstrika, I have to decide, well, am I going to go for the Tera Blast into the Sableye, or am I going to go for like a Supercell Slam? What am I going to do here? Pretty much at this point, I'm encored with a Zebstrika. I have to go for the high horsepower. That actually does a decent amount of damage onto the Sableye. However, I get hurt by the Rocky Helmet as well as my Life Orb. I did lock in with the Raging Bull into the Whimsicott. Whimsicott, of course, being a Whimsicott, it's normally used as a lead Pokemon, so there's the Focus Sash. It lives by 1 HP. And then, of course, the Moonblast is coming from the Whimsicott, taking out my Firebred Tauros. And that actually kind of stings a little bit because I'm a really big fan of my Tauroses. As you guys know, very big into the whole Gen 1 scenario, if you didn't see my previous videos. So Mousehold comes back onto the field here. We're going to try to go for that whole population bomb situation. With the Zebstrika, we're going to try to see if we can get some damage off again onto the Sableye. We can't really go for the Stomping Tantrum, of course. So anyways, Sableye is going to go for the Disable here. It's going to disable, the high horsepower. It's going to disable the high horsepower on the Zebstrika, not Stomping Tantrum. What am I talking about? Here's the Population Bomb going into the Earthworm here. That's actually going to do a little bit of chip damage every time. Has the possibility of going up to a maximum of 10, minimum of 1. And honestly, I've seen that one before, and it really sucks when that happens. But, I mean, that's a risky play when you go for the whole Population Bomb. Now, Earthworm, of course, is still surviving, and we now have to make a choice here with our Zebstrika. We do either have to swap out or we have to stay in. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I believe we swapped out to the Amoonguss here, and we are also choosing to attack with the Mousehold. So here we go, a clean swap in here with the Amoonguss. I'm not really too worried about getting knocked out right at this moment, but there is Sableye here with a Quash. Mousehold's move was postponed until later on. Unfortunately, we aren't going to be able to get another Population Bomb off onto the Earthworm, and we do get knocked out. So that's quite unfortunate. We are going to have to bring in the Zebstrika as our last and final Pokemon here. I was really hoping that we weren't going to see the end of Mousehold right away, but I mean, it was definitely hurting for sure. We're going to go for the, I was hoping the Tera Blast here, but it looks like we're going to go for the Flame Charge. Now, of course, with the Amoonguss, I'm expecting we're probably going to get taunted pretty quick. Nobody really wants to have that whole Rage Powder and Spore situation happening, so mostly you're going to get taunted when you have Amoonguss, that's for sure. That's definitely been my experience going forward in this competition. Lots of taunts running around, disables. First time I've seen Quash, though. I don't know if very many Pokemon actually get it or not. But anyways, Earthworm actually ends up going for the Protect here, protecting itself. Here's the Rage Powder from my Amoonguss, trying to redirect any attacks into that instead of the actual Zebstrika here. We're going for the Flame Charge, hoping to get some damage off onto that Earthworm, but it's definitely not happening. So right now at this time, I know that I can actually get some damage off onto the Whimsicott, be able to pick up the KO, and then of course we're locking in for the attack into the Earthworm. Now, the thing with the Whimsicott is that it could get the Tailwind set up, could get a Taunt set up as well, maybe predicting that I'm going to keep going for the Rage Powder, maybe a Spore at some point. But pretty much at this time, we're going for the Flame Charge. We're actually going to pick up the KO off onto the Earthworm, and that's going to actually knock out that Steel Pokemon. Okay, we're losing a little bit of health here with the Zebstrika. Of course, there's the Moonblast hitting into the Zebstrika, and that is actually going to be able to pick up the KO there as well. So we are actually down to just the Amoonguss, and we're going to be able to get the Sludge Bomb off onto that as well. Whimsicott going down. It's actually starting to look a little bit decent here. We do have a way of doing some damage. However, Sableye comes back in, and I'm going to be honest with you, this threw me for a complete loop. This actually ended up walling me 100%. He ends up going in for the Terrestrialization of Steel. Okay, let that sink in for a minute. I have Whimsicott, it's a Grass and Poison type. I've got Sludge Bomb, Clear Smog, Spore, and Rage Powder. None of my poison type moves are actually going to affect Steel whatsoever. I end up getting encored into using Sludge Bomb. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, what can I do here? And really, I can't do anything. I've been completely tricked into poison only moves, and I have no way of actually combating this Sableye. So that is going to be game, so good game to my opponent. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I never run from a battle, but there's just no hope for this match. So that is going to be game one in the Grand Challenge.